What if everything that you thought about evolving the human mind or consciousness was wrong? What if everything has been inverted and the easiest way to advance in consciousness is to turn everything inside out? I've been on the healing consciousness path for over 30 years. I've learned many modalities and have moved into a space of mastery within the process of tapping in to my heart, the divine guidance, the divine intelligence, and unplugging from what we would call the third dimensional reality. By doing this, I have seen things that most people have not quite tapped into. And the thing that I have come to know is that everything that we think is true is not. There was a few years ago that my mom was visiting, and we were talking about why some people heal and some people don't. And as we were sitting there having this conversation, a bird hit the window, and we both looked and decided to go out and see if it was okay. And when we went out, my daughter came running out with us, and the bird was laying. It looked like it had a broken neck, and it was barely breathing. And all I could think of is get a hammer and put this bird out of its misery. And my daughter said, "No, mommy, you should heal it." And that just seemed almost impossible at the time. But as I sat looking at the bird, I had these words come through me, and it said, "Heal the bird from the God particle." I wasn't even sure what that meant, but I went ahead and just let the words flow through me. And I said, "From the first particle of existence, or the God particle, heal this bird and everything in me that is keeping this bird from healing now." We all went back inside, and my mom and I continued our conversation. And my daughter went out about 15 minutes later to check on the bird. And she came in and said, "Mommy, the bird is sitting up." And so in that moment, I said it one more time. I said, "From the first particle of existence, or the God particle, heal this bird and everything in me so that it can fly again." And the bird did fly again. And it was in that moment that I realized that the only thing that was keeping that bird from instantly healing was the programming that I held, thinking that it could not. So thinking about that as we move through the rest of this conversation, knowing that belief systems are our reality. And as we create belief systems, most often it happens by looking into our environment. So it's either what our teachers are telling us, what our parents are telling us, what a book is telling us. And when we create belief systems from our environment becomes our body, and that environment has a vibration. And from that, our consciousness sits in that vibration and they begin to match, which creates an intelligence, which creates repeated thought patterns, and then, of course, creates our reality around what it is that we choose to believe. All belief systems have a frequency, and our reality has a frequency. The truth is, none of us actually sees reality in the same way. We all have our perception of reality. And that is true because of the programming or the belief systems that we filter reality through. So let's go back to my comment on what if everything that we think that we know, or everything that we know about evolving in consciousness, is wrong. So why would I say that? Well, because it's time to turn things inside out. If we are looking in our environment to see what it is that we are able to become, or if we look into our environment to even find the pathway of human evolution, we're doing it wrong, because we are the most advanced technology that there is. Our bodies have a technology running in the DNA of every cell of our body that holds the ability to become the most advanced human that there is. I call this the new human. And by doing this, by turning things inside out, it can be a little bit abstract, but it is the only way that we will truly step into the brilliance of what we are here to be. So the next time that you go and you are looking for the answer for something, just take a moment to see, where am I looking for this information? Am I looking for it outside myself? And what vibration does that information hold? And then see what it feels like to turn that inside out and just ask yourself, do I know the answer to this already? Because the truth is, your body has every single level of intelligence that it will show you exactly what you need every single time. This is definitely moving into the advanced human. So let's talk about some different ways that we can actually tap into this intelligence just by tapping into a frequency that our body already holds. I call this the home frequency. We all have a home frequency, and it's there for us to monitor levels of truth. And when we are around things that we hear, and it may feel like they're saying all the right things, but that place inside of us has a little bit of resistance. I call that fingernails on the chalkboard, because it literally feels like somebody is running their fingers down a chalkboard when somebody is speaking something that's true, but it's not resonating in the truth of the words themselves. I think we all have had experiences like this. So one of my favorite ways to advance into higher levels of consciousness and to start exploring ourselves in this inside out frequency is to create avatars, because these are frequencies of things that we can become, that we create with our imagination, which is a space outside of our programming, but it's also a space that exists outside of tapping into reality in order to identify with who we are. So think about that. The person that you are now, you are fully identified with, whether that's being a mom, you're an entrepreneur, you're a spiritual leader, whoever it is, that personality has a persona. And we all express frequency through a persona. But if we're not careful, we can self-identify in a persona so much so that we actually get in our own way when it's time to elevate to a new level. And that's why using avatars or even using an I am statement can give us something to become until we can self-actualize in the frequency itself. So let's all just kind of play with this. Let's all just, for this one moment, decide, what area of my life do I want to advance in? And once you take that decision, decide, who am I going to be when I advance in this part of my life? So don't answer it right away. Just feel in your body, because your body already knows who it needs to become to be this person that you will be as you advance in this area of your life. From there, start to ask for the image. What do I feel like? What am I thinking? What action steps am I taking every day? When we start to ask ourselves, who am I when I am advancing in this area of my life? And we start to tap into the intelligence behind who that person is, then we can start to move outside of our programming or our belief systems, and we tap into an intelligence or a frequency outside of the reality that we currently are identifying within. So once we kind of talk about this with our inner guidance, who am I going to be? What this conversation has started, Let's go ahead and create an image of who this person is. So you may see that your hair color has changed, or you start to dress differently, or it could be that you can only see this person as abstract. And that's okay too, because the more that you tap in and focus on the persona or the avatar of who you are becoming, the more real they become. And the more you start to self identify in the intelligence of the frequency of who you're becoming until you consciously match that frequency and shift reality. This is the inside out. It's allowing your inner guidance system to guide you to who you are becoming at the most advanced level. So often you'll hear people say, oh, make a vision board or take this class and focus on what it is that you want to become. There's nothing wrong with that. But what we need to identify is, where are we focusing from? Because if we're focusing from the reality that we're currently living in, guess what? We're just going to get more of that reality. I call this trying to make change with creating form with form, or trying to create change within our own programming, our belief systems. It literally is impossible. The change will never happen. This is why when we start to create avatars or start to create frequency patterns from imagination, from outside of our programming, then the focus becomes on what are we becoming versus the outcome of what it is that we want. Because when we create from outcome, we are creating from our programming. Because our programming is what's actually wanting the outcome itself. So think about that. The part of you that thinks you want something is the very part of you that is keeping you from actually changing. That's why when we start to tap into these places outside of our programming, that we start to change in really fast and amazing ways, because we start to tap into the imagination, which then leads us into tapping into divine guidance, which opens us up to what I call the miracle pattern. The miracle pattern is when we master the ability to have everything turned inside out. The inversion of the looping system of reality goes away, and we tap into what it is to be in creation, to be the creator and the creation at the same time. This doesn't mean that we may not get hits of what it is that we're supposed to do, but it is a hit. And those hits are information that come outside of our programming. They are organic frequencies that have intelligence that we can start to tap into and attune to outside of our programming or the reality that we see as true. I have a saying that says, only believe that something is true for a long enough period of time that you can start to self identify in the frequency of the intelligence that it holds. Once we have done that, we have to let go of the truth, knowing that there's going to be a level of truth that comes after that. This allows us to consistently continue to move into abstract frequency and attune to the next frequency of what it is that we are able to become. Because we will never actually become an identity. We are only using identity to focus on our ascension. Once we identify in any one persona, we have held ourselves up, we have stopped our growth, and we have really turned everything in the opposite direction and allowed that identity to create a reality. And there's nothing wrong with that if you're enjoying the reality that you're in. But do know that if you stay there for too long, it will create form, you will start to get stuck, and then you will lose the frequency of what it feels like to stay in flow. It happens every single time. I'm sure you can think about something in your life right now that you have done that with, that you were in synchronicity, you were in flow, and then all of a sudden things kind of slow down, they start to feel heavy, and you can't quite figure out what happened to that flow state. Well, you match the frequency of what it is that you were creating and created an identity around it. And that identity created a reality. And once that reality is created, if it doesn't consistently move into the frequency of the next, It won't move. It just stays. And that's what makes us feel like we have put all this effort into something, but it's not quite moving into the space that we thought it would because we block the energy that was in flow. And then everything slows down, gets stagnant, creates density. And then that density keeps us entrapped in that reality. So, with that, what we want to move into next is the ability to tap into frequency, create personas around that frequency, and use the persona to express the frequency so that we can share frequency with others. I do this all the time. I will get a hit or a frequency to move into creation. I will start to tap into the persona of how that creation energy will be expressed to those around me and expressed into what it is that's actually being created. It's actually a lot of fun because we can use persona to be silly and to or to be a little more serious or to connect to people to where they are, but you're only using the persona to deliver the frequency versus actually becoming it in order to deliver just the frequency. That's the next level of using avatar, is that we can create the avatar, let the avatar have a personality, and then use those different avatars and personality to express frequency so that we can connect to others and connect to the reality of what's being created, knowing that it will consistently change into the frequency of the next. This is a wonderful way to manifest. It really does take things from the 1 to the 10 because you don't have to take every little step in order to get to the frequency of the creation itself. This is when we master being in creation. So it's when we get the hit of go do this. Well, we're hoping we're getting the hits, and we're not at this point looking for what it is we quote unquote want in order to manifest. If we're wanting something, then we know that we're most likely manifesting from our belief systems. Think about that. Everything that you think that you want, just sit with it for a little while. Do you want this because you believe that if you don't have it, you won't achieve something? Or do you believe that by manifesting this, it's going to give you something, whether that's a feeling, a reality, whatever it is? Know that the truth is that if you're coming from a place of wanting, you are trying to manifest something to change a belief system because the belief system is entrapping you in a reality that you feel that if you get something that you want, that it will change the reality that you're in. But we can't change the reality that we're in from wanting from our own belief systems. Will never change. So when we start to allow the universe to guide us, is when we get outside of our belief systems and we start to tap into a reality that we didn't even think was possible. One of my favorite sayings is, if you had the choice of getting everything you want or getting everything that you need at 100, it was going to be 110%, so much better. Which one would you choose? What you think you want, or what the universe is going to bring into you or for you that is going to be 110% better? It's a really easy choice, right? So why do we make it so difficult? Why do we focus so much on what it is that we think we want from our own belief systems and not open it up to the magic, to the miracle pattern of all of these frequencies that are just waiting to come through you, to come into creation, that will create a reality that is so magnificent that you can't even believe there was a time that you wanted what you thought you did. That is living the miracle pattern. That is ascending through frequency that is in the technology of your own experiences, of your own body, and that you have everything that you need. Just saying that just brings me chills because the truth of this, and I hope that you're feeling the truth within you, you are the most advanced technology there is. Everything that you need is inside of you. And if you can start to tap into that frequency and allow it to guide you by creating these different avatars of what it is that you have the ability to become, your life will change in magnificent ways. So, going back to the avatar that we created, have an image for this avatar and now allow your body to attune to it. Feel inside your body as it starts to kind of shift and raise in frequency. It almost like gets exciting because your body knows what it is capable of and it is just dying to be turned on. Just attune your body, that just kind of let it match the frequency of this avatar that you've created. And now just breathe into that and let them merge together. And in this moment, just let your consciousness become this avatar. Just almost like putting on a new suit, a new skin suit of this new person that you are becoming. And now ask yourself, who am I? Who am I as this avatar? In the morning, what thoughts am I thinking before I get out of bed? How am I brushing my teeth? What major decisions am I making in order to create the reality of where I'm moving into? Let yourself tap into the avatar every single morning, every single afternoon, and every single time you're ready to turn out the lights and go to bed. Merge with this avatar and see yourself becoming your highest potential. You are your best teacher, mentor, guidance system. Ask yourself right now if you would be willing to turn everything inside out. So every single time you want to hook into an energy outside of yourself to self-identify in, just stop yourself and ask why. Is it because I'm too afraid to trust in my own guidance system? And today ask yourself, am I willing? Am I willing to just try? Am I willing to try to tap into my own guidance system? And am I going to listen? I can promise you that the more that you allow yourself to move into this frequency, to truly tap into the technology of your inner guidance, that your life will change. And it will change more and more every single time you trust yourself over something outside of you. It's time to turn it inside out because everything that we have learned has been wrong. So I hope you take your avatar and you go explore life in the most magnificent ways. Have a good time with it, but don't self-identify in it for too long, just until you start to see the changes. And then once you match that frequency and you fully see yourself and who it is that you're becoming, create a new avatar and keep going. I wish you the very best on exploring your highest potential. Go and live the best